A rare spectacle, the guards' grand display was simply breathtaking. The city was alive with an unusual kind of excitement. From the earliest hours of the morning, people could be seen hurrying through the streets, their faces bright with curiosity and anticipation. Word had spread quickly about a rare spectacle that was to take place at the Grand Palace that afternoon. It wasn't just another routine event. It was said to be something extraordinary, a display by the royal guard that no one had ever witnessed before. Everyone wanted to be there, to see it with their own eyes and perhaps even be a part of history, however small that part might be. The palace square, usually calm and orderly, was slowly filling with a crowd that grew by the minute. Children clutched their parents' hands, trying to catch glimpses of the palace gates through the throng of people. Street vendors called out loudly, selling snacks and drinks to the eager spectators. The aroma of fresh bread, roasted nuts, and sweet pastries mingled with the crisp morning air, giving the scene a warm, lively feel. Some people had come early to secure the best spots, spreading blankets or folding chairs on the cobblestone floor, while others arrived just in time, jostling politely as they made their way to the center of the square. Among the crowd stood Clara, a young journalist with bright eyes and a notepad clutched tightly in her hands. She had heard the rumors about the Royal Guard's upcoming performance the previous evening and had decided that she could not miss the opportunity. For her, this was not just a story to report, but a chance to witness something that might inspire awe and admiration in her readers. She adjusted her bag, ensuring her pen and camera were ready, and took a deep breath. The excitement in the air was contagious, and she felt her heart beat a little faster with the anticipation of what was to come. Conversations buzzed all around her as people speculated about the performance. "I heard they're going to march in perfect formations," said one man, his voice full of awe. "And that they've been practicing this routine for months," added a woman, nodding earnestly. Children listened wide-eyed, their imaginations already picturing the grand spectacle. Some talked about the uniforms of the guards, imagining them glinting in the sunlight like polished metal, while others whispered about the drills and maneuvers that were supposed to be unlike anything seen before. Clara made mental notes of these conversations, knowing that the people's excitement itself was part of the story. As the sun climbed higher, the heat of the day began to mingle with the crowd's energy, creating a kind of hum that seemed almost alive. Street performers took advantage of the gathering, juggling and performing small tricks to entertain those waiting, their colorful costumes adding more vibrancy to the scene. The palace gates, usually imposing and silent, now stood as a promise of something magical about to unfold. The guards were inside, hidden from view, their polished boots and precise uniforms ready to step into the public eye. No one knew exactly what to expect, and that uncertainty made every passing minute feel longer and more thrilling. Clara wandered slightly through the crowd, careful not to disturb anyone, observing faces filled with expectation. She noticed a group of elderly men sitting together, reminiscing about past performances they had witnessed over the years. "I've seen many displays, but this one is said to be truly special," one of them murmured. Nearby, teenagers whispered excitedly to one another, making bets on who would notice the first trick or the most impressive maneuver. The diversity of the crowd struck Clara. People from all walks of life, from tiny children to senior citizens, all gathered with a shared sense of wonder. It was remarkable, she thought, how a single event could bring so many different people together in one place. As the hour approached, the murmur of the crowd grew quieter, replaced by a tense anticipation that made Clara's pulse quicken. Every eye seemed fixed on the massive gates, waiting for the first sign that the performance was about to begin. She noticed her own hands trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the thrill of witnessing something historic. The sun's rays reflected off the palace walls, making them shimmer in a golden glow, and the soft wind carried the distant sound of drums from inside the courtyard, each beat echoing like a heartbeat, signaling that the moment was near. Clara's mind wandered briefly to the preparation that must have taken place behind those gates. The guards had likely trained for months, perfecting every step, every movement, until it became second nature. She imagined them standing in perfect rows, listening intently to commands, practicing in silence while imagining the grand audience that would one day watch their performance. The thought filled her with respect, This was not merely a display of physical skill, but of discipline, dedication, and pride. The anticipation of seeing that effort translated into motion made her even more eager to witness the spectacle. Suddenly, a hush fell over the crowd. Even the wind seemed to pause, carrying with it a sense of expectancy. People straightened in their positions, craning their necks to see beyond the gates. Clara held her breath, notebook poised, ready to capture every detail. Somewhere in the distance, a drumbeat echoed louder, growing steadily, almost like a call to attention. The palace doors began to stir. A small movement at first, subtle, almost imperceptible, but enough to send ripples of excitement through the crowd. Children squealed in delight, pointing toward the gates, while adults exchanged knowing glances, silently acknowledging that they were about to witness something extraordinary. Clara felt a shiver run down her spine. She realized that anticipation itself was a form of beauty, a shared feeling that connected every person in the square. It wasn't just about the performance, she thought, but about the collective excitement, the unspoken agreement that something remarkable was about to happen, and that they were all lucky to see it. She looked around once more, taking in the scene. The brightly colored hats of the crowd, the sparkling morning sun on the palace walls, the eager faces of children bouncing on tiptoe, and knew that this moment, this precise point in time, would stay with her forever. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours. The sound of the drums grew closer, louder, more deliberate, signaling that the guards were ready to emerge. Clara's pen hovered above her notebook as she tried to capture the energy around her, the anticipation that seemed almost tangible. Every heartbeat in the crowd seemed to echo with the next, a rhythm that built suspense in a way no words could fully describe. She smiled, knowing that her readers would feel this tension too if she could only convey it correctly. And then, almost suddenly, the palace gates began to open. A faint glimmer of polished boots appeared, followed by the sharp lines of uniforms, perfectly straight and commanding respect. The crowd leaned forward, gasping in awe at the first sight of the royal guard. Clara scribbled furiously, her pen flying across the pages, trying to catch every detail before it disappeared into motion. She knew, without a doubt, that what she was about to witness would be remembered for years to come. The anticipation had reached its peak, and the stage was set. The city square was now alive not only with people but with the promise of something extraordinary, something that would blend precision, grace, and discipline into a spectacle like no other. Clara's heart raced with excitement, ready to record every breathtaking moment, every synchronized step, every expression of pride on the faces of the guards. It was, she realized, a rare moment in life where anticipation itself became part of the beauty of the experience, a moment she would never forget. The crowd watched in complete silence as the palace gates slowly opened wider. The soft sunlight reflected off the polished armor of the first row of guards, making them look almost like statues brought to life. Clara felt her chest tighten with excitement. This was it, the moment she had been waiting for. She adjusted her notebook and camera, determined to capture every detail, every expression, and every movement. The royal guard began to emerge, step by step, with a precision that made the audience hold their collective breath. Each guard's posture was perfect, their shoulders straight, heads held high, and faces calm and disciplined. Even the smallest movement seemed deliberate and meaningful, as if every step had been planned down to the last second. The sunlight bounced off their swords and polished helmets, creating a dazzling display that made the crowd murmur in appreciation. Clara jotted down notes furiously, trying to describe the scene with words that could do it justice. As more guards came into view, the magnitude of the performance became clear. They were not just walking, they were forming rows, patterns, and lines with astonishing accuracy. The sheer number of guards made the display overwhelming in its beauty. Clara noticed how even the youngest members of the guard moved with confidence, their steps perfectly synchronized with the rest of the formation. She realized that this was the result of years of training, countless hours of practice, and a deep sense of pride and responsibility. The commander of the guard stepped forward, tall and imposing in his uniform, carrying a sword that gleamed under the sun. He raised it high, and the sound of a drum echoed from inside the courtyard. The beat was strong and commanding, filling the air with an energy that made everyone in the square feel as if their own hearts were beating in time. The guards responded immediately, their movements sharp and exact, matching the rhythm of the drum. The crowd, captivated by the precision and discipline, leaned forward, eyes wide, as if they too were part of the performance. Clara noticed that every detail mattered. The guards' gloves were spotless, their boots polished to perfection, and their uniforms fitted flawlessly. Even their expressions seemed carefully controlled, showing determination without any hint of strain or fatigue. She could tell that they had practiced this routine countless times, yet there was a natural grace to their movements that made it feel effortless. Clara felt a sense of awe wash over her. It was one thing to hear about a guard's skill, but to witness it with her own eyes was an entirely different experience. As the performance continued, the guards began to execute more complex maneuvers. Rows shifted seamlessly into new formations, turning and moving as if guided by a single mind. The crowd gasped at the speed and accuracy of the changes, unable to believe that such precision was possible. Clara wrote down every detail she could, realizing that words alone might not fully capture the beauty of what she was seeing. Children pointed excitedly, their faces lit with wonder, while adults whispered to each other in disbelief. The energy in the square was electric, as if everyone was holding their breath in shared admiration. Clara's attention was drawn to the smaller details that made the performance even more impressive. The way the guards' boots struck the cobblestones in perfect unison, the rhythm of their steps creating a subtle music of its own. The way their swords and spears moved in synchronized patterns, glinting in the sunlight and forming intricate shapes. The way the flags, held high by the youngest members of the guard, fluttered in perfect coordination, adding color and motion to the already mesmerizing display. It was more than a performance. It was a work of art, alive and moving in front of everyone. At one point, the commander signaled a change in the formation, and the guards responded instantly. Clara could see the discipline and teamwork shining through in every movement. Not a single person was out of place, not a single step missed. The audience erupted in quiet murmurs of amazement, unable to take their eyes off the spectacle. Clara realized that this was the essence of the guard's skill. It was not just about individual talent, but about unity, coordination, and trust. Each guard depended on the others, and together they created something far greater than any single person could achieve. The crowd began to notice the subtle but powerful ways the guards communicated without words. A tilt of the head, a slight gesture of the hand, a flick of the wrist, all signals that guided the performance with flawless timing. Clara wrote furiously, noting how these small, almost invisible cues allowed the formation to change and adapt smoothly. She marveled at the discipline it must have taken to achieve such perfection. Months, even years, of practice had honed these soldiers into a unit that moved with one purpose and one mind. As the performance reached its peak, the guards began a series of movements that were faster and more complex than anything that had come before. The sound of their boots striking the stone grew louder, blending with the drumbeat and the soft rustle of flags. Clara felt her heart race with every movement, trying to keep up with the rapid pace of the performance. She looked around and saw that every member of the audience was completely absorbed, forgetting the world around them as they watched in awe. For a moment, it seemed as if time itself had slowed down, allowing everyone to witness the full beauty of the display. The guards then began a maneuver that Clara had never seen before. They formed intricate shapes and patterns, shifting seamlessly from one design to another. Triangles became circles, circles became lines, and every transformation was executed with perfect timing. The audience gasped and clapped spontaneously, unable to contain their admiration. Clara knew that she was witnessing something truly rare, a display of skill and dedication that would be remembered long after it was over. She scribbled notes quickly, trying to capture the feeling as much as the movements. Even as the guards performed, Clara noticed the expressions of pride and concentration on their faces. These were not merely performers. They were soldiers, trained to protect and serve, who now displayed their skill and dedication in a way that touched the hearts of everyone watching. Their discipline and courage were evident in every step, every turn, and every synchronized movement. Clara felt a deep respect for them, understanding that the spectacle was not just about impressing the crowd, but about honoring their own training and the history of their service. As the performance continued, the crowd's excitement grew. Some people cheered quietly, not wanting to disrupt the rhythm, while others clapped in time with the steps of the guards. Children waved their hands and pointed, their faces glowing with excitement. Clara could feel the energy of the crowd blending with the energy of the performance, creating a shared experience that was both exhilarating and unforgettable. Every person in the square seemed connected by the spectacle, united in awe and admiration. Finally, as the sun reached its highest point, the guards completed their opening maneuvers and paused in perfect formation. Clara took a deep breath, knowing that the next part of the performance would only grow more impressive. The crowd erupted in applause, not just for what they had seen, but for the promise of what was still to come. Clara smiled, feeling a sense of satisfaction that she was part of this moment, witnessing history in the making. She knew that her readers would be captivated by the story, but more importantly, she felt a personal connection to the beauty, discipline, and dedication she had just observed. The royal guard stood tall and composed, their posture unwavering despite the heat and the attention of hundreds of eyes. Clara realized that what she was witnessing was not merely a show. It was a testament to human dedication, unity, and the ability to achieve greatness through discipline and teamwork. The anticipation of what would follow next filled the square with an almost tangible energy, as if everyone was holding their breath, waiting for the next breathtaking move. Clara adjusted her notebook once more, her mind racing with thoughts about how to describe this moment. She watched as the commander raised his sword again, signaling the next phase of the performance. The crowd leaned forward, eyes wide with anticipation. The air was thick with excitement, and Clara felt her own pulse quicken, ready to capture the magic that was unfolding before her. The royal guard had arrived, and the true spectacle was only beginning. The guards moved with a precision that seemed almost unreal. Each step was deliberate, each turn exact, and every motion flowed seamlessly into the next. The audience watched in complete awe, some unable to believe what they were seeing. Clara scribbled notes and clicked photos, trying to capture every detail before it disappeared into motion. She could feel the energy of the performance, the rhythm of the soldiers' steps, and the glint of sunlight on their polished armor, all blending into a single breathtaking spectacle. As the performance unfolded, the guard began a series of synchronized movements that were more complex than anything the crowd had seen before. Rows of soldiers shifted in perfect unison, creating patterns that seemed almost impossible. Triangles turned into diamonds, diamonds into lines, and then into waves that flowed across the courtyard. The audience gasped at each transformation, unable to look away. Clara realized that this was the moment she had been waiting for, the true, grand display that everyone had talked about. The commander, standing tall at the front, signaled with subtle movements. Every soldier responded immediately, as if they were parts of a single living organism. Clara's eyes followed the movements closely, noticing the smallest details, the way a hand tilted a spear, how a boot struck the ground in exact rhythm, the precise angle of a helmet that caught the sunlight just right. It was as if the entire formation was a living painting, constantly changing but always perfect. Clara's heart raced as the soldiers began to move faster. The pace increased, and yet the synchronization never faltered. It was almost impossible to imagine the countless hours of practice that had led to this moment. Each soldier knew his or her role perfectly, moving without hesitation, trusting the person next to them, and responding instantly to the commander's subtle cues. Clara realized that the true beauty of this display wasn't just in the patterns or the formations. It was in the trust, discipline, and teamwork that allowed them to perform as one. The crowd could feel the tension and excitement in the air. Children clapped and shouted in delight, while adults leaned forward, holding their breath, not wanting to miss a single detail. Clara noticed the way the sunlight reflected off the polished swords, creating streaks of light that danced across the courtyard. The flags held by the youngest members waved in perfect timing, adding color and motion to the spectacle. Every sense was engaged, sight, sound, and even the faint rhythm of the soldiers' footsteps on the stone floor. Suddenly the guards formed a new pattern, one that Clara had never seen before. The rows moved closer together, then split apart, forming intricate shapes that seemed almost impossible to achieve with so many people. The audience gasped again, whispering in amazement. Clara's pen flew across the pages as she tried to describe the precision, the beauty, and the incredible skill she was witnessing. It was a display not just of physical ability, but of mental focus, coordination, and timing. The soldiers then began a sequence of rapid movements that made the crowd hold its breath. Swords were twirled in perfect unison, flags shifted in synchronized arcs, and the formations changed faster than the eye could follow. Clara could feel the energy building, almost like electricity in the air. It wasn't just a performance, it was a story being told through movement. Each step, each swing of a sword, each careful alignment of a row conveyed pride, discipline, and dedication. Clara's attention shifted to the faces of the guards. Even under the heavy helmets, she could see the concentration and determination in their eyes. These were not mere performers. They were soldiers who had trained for years, committed to perfecting their craft. The performance was as much about showing their skill as it was about demonstrating their dedication to their duty. Clara felt a deep respect for them, realizing that every step and every maneuver represented countless hours of effort, discipline, and perseverance. The commander raised his sword again, signaling the next phase of the display. This time the formation began to move in a circular pattern, the soldiers spinning, stepping, and turning with flawless timing. Clara could see the intricate choreography, how each soldier's movement was coordinated with those around them. It was as if the courtyard had become a stage, and the guards were performing a living dance, full of rhythm, beauty, and strength. The audience was mesmerized, unable to look away from the unfolding scene. As the performance progressed, the guards executed maneuvers that required immense skill and balance. Some moved forward while others moved backward, yet the formations remained perfectly aligned. Swords crossed in precise arcs, spears shifted in harmony, and flags swayed in patterns that mirrored the soldiers' movements. Clara's notebook was filled with descriptions of every motion, but she knew words could hardly capture the full impact of what she was seeing. The spectacle was alive, moving, and breathing right before her eyes. The audience's applause grew louder with each sequence. Children jumped up and down, pointing at the guards, while adults clapped in appreciation, sometimes even whistling at the incredible precision. Clara noticed that even the smallest mistakes, if they had occurred, would have been immediately obvious, but there were none. Every step, every gesture, every shift in formation was perfect. It was a testament not just to training, but to commitment, focus, and teamwork. Then came the most impressive part yet. The guards began to form a massive, coordinated pattern that seemed to stretch across the entire courtyard. From Clara's vantage point, it looked like a living mosaic, each soldier a single tile in a grand picture. Triangles, diamonds, and waves shifted into place, moving as if controlled by a single mind. The crowd gasped in unison, some clapping, some simply staring in awe. Clara's pen moved faster than ever, trying to describe the shapes, the timing, and the incredible coordination she was witnessing. The youngest members of the guard were particularly remarkable. They moved with precision and confidence that belied their age, holding flags and spears in perfect alignment with the rest of the formation. Clara was struck by the thought that this was more than just a display of skill. It was a passing down of tradition, discipline, and pride from one generation to the next. The display was not only a celebration of physical ability, but also of loyalty, courage, and teamwork. The performance continued with a series of quick, intricate maneuvers. Rows shifted into circles, circles into lines, and lines into patterns that seemed impossible to achieve. The soldiers moved as one, guided by the commander's subtle cues, their expressions calm yet focused. Clara noticed how each movement required both strength and flexibility, precision and timing. It was a dance, a drill, and a display of dedication all at once. As the sun reached its highest point, the performance reached its climax. The guards executed a series of rapid, synchronized movements that dazzled the crowd. Swords and spears flashed in the sunlight, flags swirled in perfect harmony, and the formations shifted seamlessly from one shape to another. The crowd erupted in applause, some standing, some cheering, and some simply staring in awe, unable to believe what they had just seen. Clara felt a surge of excitement herself, knowing that this was a moment she would remember forever. Finally, the commander signaled the end of the sequence, and the guards came to a sharp, perfect halt. They stood tall, composed, and proud, their movements executed flawlessly. The audience erupted in a thunderous applause, cheering and clapping for what they had just witnessed. Clara looked around, noticing the wide smiles, the sparkling eyes, and the expressions of pure wonder on the faces of everyone in the square. It was more than a performance. It was a shared experience that had united everyone in admiration and respect. Clara took a deep breath, her notebook filled with notes, her camera full of pictures, and her heart racing with excitement. She realized that the true spectacle wasn't just the movements of the guards, but the discipline, coordination, and dedication that had made such perfection possible. Each soldier's effort, each hour of practice, and each moment of focus had combined to create something that was not only breathtaking but also inspiring. The Royal Guard stood in formation, proud and composed, as the audience continued to cheer. Clara knew that the memory of this performance would remain with her forever. The skill, dedication, and precision she had witnessed were not just impressive, they were a testament to human effort, teamwork, and excellence. As she prepared for the next phase of the event, she felt a renewed sense of respect for the guards and a deeper understanding of what made their grand display truly breathtaking. Just as the crowd began to recover from the awe of the previous display, a sudden gust of wind swept. Across the palace square, flags fluttered violently, papers from the crowd scattered into the air, and for a moment it seemed as though the entire performance might be disrupted. Clara felt her heart leap into her throat. She could see a few of the younger guards stumble slightly, their balance threatened by the sudden gust. A hush fell over the crowd, tension spreading like a ripple through everyone watching. Could the perfection of the display withstand this unexpected challenge? The commander's eyes scanned the formation instantly. His sharp whistle cut through the noise of the wind, crisp and commanding. The guards responded immediately, their movements adjusting to the unexpected conditions. Clara was struck by the incredible discipline displayed in that moment. A tiny misstep could have ruined the entire sequence, but each soldier adapted flawlessly, correcting their positions and continuing as if nothing had happened. The crowd broke into murmurs of appreciation, impressed not just by the performance, but by the soldiers' resilience under pressure. Clara noticed that the smaller flags, held by the youngest members, were the hardest hit by the wind. One almost toppled, but the young guard held it steady with a quick, skillful adjustment. Another soldier, holding a sword in the front row, stumbled slightly, but was immediately corrected by the precise timing of those around him. The formation held together perfectly, moving as one unit despite the unpredictable conditions. Clara scribbled notes quickly, her admiration growing with every detail. She realized that this part of the display, the ability to maintain grace under pressure, was just as impressive as the choreography itself. The crowd seemed to sense the tension and responded instinctively. Some gasped as the wind threatened the performance, while others clapped in encouragement, their cheers blending with the rhythm of the drums. Clara noticed the children's faces, wide-eyed and frozen in wonder, as they watched the soldiers handle the challenge with such skill. Even the adults seemed captivated, not just by the precision of the movements, but by the courage and calm that the guards displayed. It was a reminder that true mastery was not only in executing the routine perfectly, but also in maintaining composure in the face of the unexpected. The commander signaled for a subtle adjustment in the formation, and the guards responded instantly. Rows shifted slightly, angles changed, and the formation stabilized once more. Clara watched, amazed at the speed and accuracy with which the soldiers adapted. It was a display of teamwork and trust at its finest. Each guard relied on the others, knowing that they were all connected by the shared goal of perfection. The audience, sensing the recovery, erupted in applause and cheers, recognizing that the guards' skill extended beyond precision. It encompassed adaptability, focus, and unity. Clara's eyes were drawn to the youngest guards, who handled the sudden gusts with surprising confidence. They were smaller in size, yet their movements were sharp, deliberate, and unwavering. It was clear that they had trained extensively, learning not just the routines, but how to stay composed under pressure. Clara jotted down observations about their poise and focus, noting that this added a layer of inspiration to the performance. The young soldiers were a testament to the effectiveness of training, discipline, and guidance from their experienced commanders. As the wind settled slightly, the guards resumed the next phase of the performance. This part of the display involved a series of intricate formations, some of which were wider than the crowd could easily comprehend. The soldiers moved in perfect harmony, each step timed flawlessly, each turn executed with grace. Clara could see the patterns emerging, rows becoming circles, circles forming triangles, and lines twisting into elegant waves. The audience's amazement grew with each transformation. Even after the momentary disruption, the display had not only recovered, but had become more mesmerizing than before. The commander, sensing the audience's reaction, signaled for the most daring maneuver yet. The guards responded with incredible speed, shifting positions with precision, their swords and flags moving in perfect synchronization. Clara's notebook was filled with detailed observations, but she knew that even the most accurate descriptions would fail to capture the full impact of what she was seeing. The soldiers' skill, coordination, and grace were breathtaking, heightened by the recent challenge that they had overcome. The crowd responded with applause and cheers, their admiration intensified by the display of resilience and adaptability. Clara noticed a subtle change in the energy of the performance. What had begun as a routine of movements had transformed into something more, a demonstration of not just skill, but character. The guards' ability to maintain perfection under pressure reflected discipline, teamwork, and focus. It was clear that the performance was as much about these qualities as it was about creating beautiful formations. Clara realized that this was what made the spectacle truly extraordinary. It was not simply a display of physical ability, but a testament to human determination and excellence. The performance continued with even more complex maneuvers. The guards moved forward, backward, and sideways, sometimes simultaneously, without breaking the harmony of the formation. Swords and flags crossed in perfect arcs, and the patterns shifted like a living mosaic. Clara could feel the crowd holding its collective breath at times, amazed by the soldiers' skill and timing. Even the youngest guards performed flawlessly, their courage and precision adding to the overall brilliance of the display. Clara could sense the admiration, not just for the physical skill, but for the discipline and mental focus required to achieve such perfection. As the display reached its peak, Clara could see the culmination of the guards' efforts. Rows formed elaborate shapes that stretched across the entire square, creating a visual spectacle that captivated everyone present. Swords flashed in the sunlight, flags swirled in harmony, and every movement was executed with remarkable precision. The audience erupted into applause, some clapping, some cheering, and some simply staring in awe. Clara felt her heart swell with pride and admiration, knowing that she was witnessing a moment of pure dedication and excellence. The commander raised his sword one final time, signaling the end of the most challenging part of the performance. The guards responded instantly, moving into a perfect, composed formation that reflected both strength and grace. Clara noticed the pride in their posture, the calmness in their expressions, and the confidence that came from successfully navigating a difficult and unpredictable challenge. The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers echoing across the square. Children jumped with excitement, adults clapped enthusiastically, and even the distant street vendors paused to watch the final movements. Clara took a moment to reflect on what she had seen. The guards' ability to recover from the unexpected gust of wind had added a new dimension to the performance. It was no longer just a display of precision. It was a demonstration of resilience, teamwork, and focus under pressure. Each soldier had adapted, adjusted, and continued flawlessly, showing that true excellence was not just about executing a plan, but about responding with skill and composure when challenges arise. Clara knew that this was a lesson her readers would appreciate, a reminder that perseverance and teamwork are as important as talent and practice. As the guards stood in formation, the crowd continued to cheer, their admiration unmistakable. Clara captured the moment in photographs, each image reflecting the unity, discipline, and beauty of the performance. She knew that these images, along with her detailed notes, would convey the story to those who had not been present. Yet she also realized that no words or pictures could fully capture the energy, the emotion, and the breathtaking skill she had witnessed. It was a moment that had to be experienced firsthand, a rare spectacle that would stay in her memory forever. Finally, the commander lowered his sword, signaling a brief pause in the performance. The guards remained composed, standing tall and proud, their posture reflecting both accomplishment and readiness for the next sequence. Clara's heart was still racing, her mind buzzing with excitement and admiration. She had seen the guards handle not only complex maneuvers, but also unexpected challenges with grace and confidence. The crowd was still applauding, some continuing to cheer, and Clara could see the smiles of amazement and wonder on the faces of everyone present. As she looked around, Clara realized that the performance had created a shared experience that went beyond mere entertainment. It had united the crowd in admiration, respect, and awe. People from all walks of life were witnessing the same breathtaking display, connected by the energy and dedication of the Royal Guard. Clara knew that this was the true impact of the performance. It was not just about the patterns, the formations, or the skill. It was about inspiring everyone who watched, reminding them of what could be achieved through discipline, focus, and teamwork. The wind had passed, the challenge had been overcome, and the performance continued to captivate the audience. Clara prepared herself to witness the next phase, knowing that the most inspiring and dramatic moments were yet to come. The guards had proven not only their skill but their resilience, and the crowd's excitement had grown even stronger. The stage was set for the grand finale, a culmination of all the dedication, practice, and discipline that had led to this extraordinary day. The Royal Guard remained in perfect formation, their movements now slower and deliberate as the final phase of the display began. The crowd, still buzzing with excitement from the earlier sequences and the dramatic recovery from the wind, leaned forward, their eyes fixed on the spectacle. Clara adjusted her notebook and camera, ready to capture the last moments of what had been an extraordinary performance. She could feel the energy in the square shift, anticipation mixed with awe, as everyone sensed that something truly remarkable was about to happen. The commander raised his sword high, signaling the next sequence. The guards responded instantly, their movements precise and fluid, forming intricate patterns across the courtyard. This time, the choreography was grander than anything the crowd had yet seen. Rows of soldiers split and merged in seamless motion, creating geometric shapes that seemed to float on the cobblestone floor. Clara watched in amazement as the soldiers moved as one, their coordination so perfect that it seemed almost impossible. Every step, every swing of a sword, and every wave of a flag was executed with flawless timing. As the formations evolved, Clara could see the narrative behind the performance. It was not just about precision or beauty. It was a story of unity, discipline, and shared purpose. Soldiers in the front moved boldly, leading their peers with confidence, while those in the back mirrored every motion without hesitation. The youngest members of the guard held flags high, their expressions a mixture of concentration and pride. Clara realized that this display was more than a spectacle. It was a reflection of the values that the Royal Guard embodied: courage, teamwork, and dedication to a cause greater than oneself. The crowd erupted in applause as the guards executed a particularly complex maneuver. The formation shifted in ways that seemed impossible, yet every movement was perfectly synchronized. Clara could feel her own pulse quicken, not just from excitement, but from admiration for the discipline and focus displayed by the soldiers. She noticed the subtle gestures that guided the formation, the tilt of a head, the flick of a wrist, the slight adjustment of a step. All communicated without words, a testament to the trust and understanding between the guards. It was as if they could read each other's minds, moving together as a single, living entity. The commander signaled another change, and the guards began to move in a sweeping motion that spanned the entire courtyard. Triangles became circles, lines became waves, and the patterns seemed to stretch endlessly. The crowd gasped, clapped, and cheered, fully immersed in the beauty and precision of the display. Clara's pen moved furiously across her notebook, trying to capture not just the shapes and patterns, but the sense of awe, excitement, and inspiration that filled the square. She knew that her readers would feel the energy if she could describe it well, and she was determined to do justice to the moment. Clara's attention shifted to the youngest members again. Despite their age, they moved with remarkable confidence and poise. Their flags waved gracefully, synchronized perfectly with the swords and movements of the older guards. It was clear that they had trained extensively, learning not just the choreography but the importance of discipline, focus, and composure. Clara felt a surge of admiration for these young soldiers, understanding that they were carrying on a tradition of excellence that had been passed down through years of training and mentorship. As the performance neared its climax, the guards executed a breathtaking maneuver that left the crowd speechless. The rows of soldiers shifted into a massive formation that spelled out a symbol of unity and pride. From Clara's vantage point, it looked like a living tapestry, every soldier perfectly placed, every movement harmonized with the next. The sunlight reflected off the polished swords and helmets, creating streaks of light that danced across the courtyard. The flags added bursts of color, fluttering in perfect timing with the rhythm of the steps. Clara could hardly believe what she was seeing. It was more than a display. It was a masterpiece. The crowd erupted into applause, some standing, some cheering, some simply staring in awe. Children pointed excitedly, their faces glowing with excitement, while adults clapped enthusiastically, some even wiping away tears of admiration. Clara could see the pride in the faces of the soldiers, the calm satisfaction of executing such a complex display flawlessly. It was a moment of triumph, not just for the performance itself, but for the dedication, effort, and teamwork that had made it possible. The commander then signaled the final maneuver. The guards moved into a series of precise, sweeping motions, their steps echoing in perfect rhythm across the courtyard. Swords and spears flashed in the sunlight, flags swirled gracefully, and the formations shifted seamlessly. Clara could feel the energy of the performance reaching its peak. The soldiers moved faster now, but without a single error, each step calculated and harmonious. The crowd held its collective breath, captivated by the final display, unable to look away from the incredible scene unfolding before them. As the final moments approached, the commander raised his sword high one last time. The soldiers froze in perfect formation, their posture straight, their faces composed, and their expressions proud. Clara looked around and saw the crowd erupt into a thunderous ovation. The applause was deafening, a wave of admiration and respect that seemed to shake the entire square. Children jumped with excitement, adults clapped and cheered, and even the street vendors paused to watch, caught up in the collective celebration. Clara felt a deep sense of satisfaction and awe, knowing that she had witnessed something truly extraordinary. Clara's eyes moved from the soldiers to the audience. She could see the shared emotion on the faces of everyone present. It was not just admiration for the skill of the guards, but appreciation for the discipline, dedication, and unity that had made such a perfect display possible. She realized that the performance had accomplished more than entertaining the crowd. It had inspired them. People of all ages had witnessed the power of teamwork, focus, and resilience. Clara understood that these lessons, displayed so vividly before their eyes, would linger in the minds of the audience long after the performance ended. The soldiers began to lower their swords and flags slowly, bringing the performance to a calm and deliberate close. The audience continued to cheer, the sound echoing across the square. Clara could see the pride on the faces of the guards, the satisfaction of completing a performance that had challenged them and tested their skills to the fullest. Every movement, every step, every detail had been executed with precision and care, and the result was nothing short of breathtaking. Clara walked closer to the front, notebook in hand, as the crowd began to disperse. She wanted to capture not just the images, but the stories behind the performance. She spoke with a few of the guards, asking about their training, their experiences, and what it felt like to perform in front of such a large and appreciative audience. The soldiers spoke with humility, describing long hours of practice, lessons in discipline, and the pride they felt in representing their team and tradition. Clara realized that the story was not just about the display itself, but about the people behind it, their dedication, teamwork, and shared sense of purpose. The crowd slowly began to leave the square, still talking excitedly about what they had seen. Children ran to their parents, reenacting their favorite moments, while adults continued to discuss the precision and beauty of the formations. Clara followed them, taking notes and capturing quotes, knowing that the story would resonate with everyone who read it. She felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing that she had been part of something special, something that had touched the hearts of so many people. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the palace square, Clara looked back at the guards standing proudly in the courtyard. She realized that this performance was more than just a display of skill. It was a lesson in perseverance, discipline, and teamwork. Every movement, every formation, every synchronized step reflected hours of practice, commitment, and shared effort. It was a celebration of human potential, of what people can achieve when they work together toward a common goal. Clara packed her notebook and camera, her heart still racing with the excitement and inspiration of the day. She knew that she had witnessed something rare, a moment of true excellence that would stay with her forever. The Royal Guard had not only performed a breathtaking display, but had also shown the crowd the value of dedication, focus, and teamwork. It was a lesson wrapped in beauty, a story told through motion, discipline, and grace. Finally, Clara took one last look at the palace square, now quiet and peaceful after the day's excitement. She knew that the story she would write would capture not just the performance, but the spirit of the soldiers, the energy of the crowd, and the magic of a rare spectacle that had inspired everyone who witnessed it. The Royal Guard had given more than a performance. They had given an unforgettable experience, a moment of wonder, pride, and inspiration that would linger long after the applause had faded.